making a change for you guys, okay? But if they align in an out-of-core set, okay? Once again, we always align on our guys, right, linebackers? Okay? So we're going to take zone alignments in this. So that would be the Will, solid left. Buck still has his guy. Do we want a corner to go ahead and blitz through there? No, we don't want to do that. So anytime they align in an out-of-core set, anytime. So it doesn't matter whether it's double or it's trips. Okay? We are going to check Will. Okay? So safeties, as far as you're concerned, this is just a sally. Okay? So we go ahead and make a sally check, and we go ahead and we play ball from there. Okay? Everybody understand that? So Buck would still have him. If we check Will, the Mike, you have the remaining back, and the safeties take the break. Okay? We all good there? That means we are checking Will. Okay? Everybody have any? Go ahead, Jared. Huh? And then Felix, yeah, so if we were in Felix, let's talk about Felix now. Any questions about Cat? It's pretty easy, right? Now understand this. Once we check Will, we will not go back to Cat. Once we check Will, we're playing it. Okay? Everybody answer that? So that means we have a check. Check Will from a Cat. When we call Felix, now we're in an overfront. Now what's that mean to you, Vincent? Huh? Right here. What's this end? It's playing your... Huh? It's a right... I'm sorry, it's a right call. Playing a 6. What about these two guys? Stick. What about this guy?
He's sticking. We got to do a shade.
Shade, what are you doing? Are we racking this guy, Cass?
If it's fast. It's only if it's been fast, coach.
Right. So we're just staying, so it's a stick. Okay? At times we've moved that guy, right? We're starting out just playing as a stick. So all our roles are the same. So the Will always has the tight end. So who has the two remaining guys? The Mike and the Buck. So if the fullback aligns over here, who's got him? Buck's got him. If he motions over, who's got him? The Mike. And then Buck bumps to who? The remaining back. As long as they align in a core, we know that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We got those three guys. That will never change. Okay? What is a possibility that you guys can do, linebackers? Let's say they line up in ace and they line up like that. It's a right call. What would you do right there? What could you do right there, Trevor? You could IO that. Okay? What does IO mean? Let's talk about, I know it means in and out. How do we know who has who in an IO? Who do we key when it's I&O to determine who has who? Because this could mean something to the safeties in 1Y. Could mean something to a lot of guys. Who do we look at? Who tells us what? The back. Okay, Jared, teach me I.O. What are you looking for in the back? Initially, let's say we're aligned like that. Initially, we know that he has him and he has him, right? So if we're both looking at the back, what are we looking to see?
He goes down.
What if he checks and then goes? Okay, so what are we looking for? So what words do I want to hear you say? In I.O., we're looking at the back to see if what happens.
Unless he doesn't immediately out.
He's got a free release right now. So if the back free releases, then we're going to push it off. If that back checks it all, if he doesn't go right now, then the inside guy has the back and the outside guy has the tight end. Okay? Everybody good there? What if they align out of the core? What are we checking to? To check buck, okay? So, once again, it doesn't change the front. The front just still runs a stick, plays an over front, and everything else stays the same. Now we're bringing the buck off the edge. Okay, Mike has your remaining back, Will still has his tight end. But that has to be an aligned out of core set. Once they align in the core, Felix is on and it stays on. Okay? Okay? Everybody good there? Okay. So what have we talked about so far? Basically everything base that we play right now in 21 and 12, right? Does anybody have any questions about any of that stuff? The zones, the mans. Our alignment roles are pretty much the same, right? Go ahead.
I got it, bro. Like with the buzz on storm mode.
We'll get to that. That's pretty our next thing. We're going to go into zone dogs now. Okay? Base-wise, does anybody have any questions? We sure? Okay. Let's talk about zone dogs. And how do we call our zone dogs? Either strong or flex. Okay, before we get into specific zone dogs, what does strong and flex mean? Go ahead, Benson. Good. Okay. So you as a three technique, or is a down lineman. When we say strong right or flex right or left, strong right or left or flex right or left, what are we setting, Vincent? We're setting a nose. Okay. So as far as you guys are concerned, all you guys got to do is hear a call. Strong. You hear strong or flex, bam. If it's flex right or strong right, I'm the right defensive tackle. I'm lined up in a shade, or or a 2-eye. If I'm the left guy, I'm playing a 3. And so that's easy as far as setting the inside defensive lineman. Correct? Okay. When we call strong, when I'm calling strong or flex, this is important that you linebackers understand this, okay? Basically, we talked about a couple weeks ago that if I call strong or flex, if we get a slot set, is there any difference between the two? No, both are going to be the same thing. The D, so when the quarterback walks up over the ball, if I call strong something or flex something, regardless of whether I call, the quarterback's going to look out there and he's going to see the same look regardless. Okay, so when I say strong or flex, I'm anticipating that I'm going to get what kind of set? What do you think I'm trying to hit? A pro set. Okay, so if we hit a pro set, strong, you can equate strong with what? With what kind of defense? Under or over? Strong's exactly like under when we align up. If they give us a pro set and we say flex, it's over defense. So your initial alignments in strong, you want to think of as under, and flex you want to think of over. When you get slot, they're the same. Okay? We all understand that. So regardless of whether it's strong or flex, it's a slot out there. Buck, you're going out there and you're going to line up over to the slot side. Okay? It's important that you guys understand that. Okay? What about when we're calling zone dogs now? Jason Ankra. And you hear strong or flex with a zone dog, with snake or go or storm. You play basically on which side? The left side. So what are you waiting to hear? All you got to really hear is what? If you hear strong right or flex right, What does that mean to you as a left end? It knows you know you're the Bronco player. Okay? And if you hear strong left or flex left, you thinking what? Huh? You're now on the blitz side. Other than that, is there really anything else that really means much to you at that point? Only identifying the set. Okay, now, let's talk about that. Okay? If I know I'm the Bronco player and I'm the end, okay? What do I have? This is no different than being a linebacker at this point, because you're a dropper. You're one of our 3 droppers. So if I say you're the left end now, Jason, and I say flex left, you're thinking what? Doesn't matter. Are you thinking I'm in the blitz or you're in the blitz now? Okay, now I say flex right. So flex right in this case. What do I do from that point if I'm the defensive end? What's real important that we kind of went over with the linebackers and maybe didn't quite hit home with the defensive end at this point? What do you want to do from that point?
Find where number 2 is.
Find where number 2 is. So how do you do that?
Outside in.
Outside in. There you go. So you know there's one. One will never mean anything to you guys, ever. Will never mean anything to a defensive end in a Bronco. The same way it really never means anything to a linebacker when you're playing curl flat or you're playing a technique. One's out of it. Those are the corners, guys. Okay? So, I identify from there. There's my number 2. Will we ever walk you out on a number 2? No. So you know that you're basically, so even if you are a Bronco player, what would you know at that point? So now you're hooked to 3 and you're going to Bronco off of this guy. What call would you anticipate from the will linebacker right there? A hook call. And all that's doing is telling him that he has that guy. But it's important that you identify from outside in, for that very reason, right? Good. Okay? Now let's put us into a normal pro set. We're talking about flex zone dogs right now. Okay? Because once I can cover strong zone dogs here in a second, because that's going to be the same as flex zone dogs once we get a slot. Okay? So we're talking about flex zone dogs, and we said we're lining up in an over front. Okay, we'll first talk about flex go. Okay? So which is the blitz side, Vincent? Right. When we make a right call, which side's the blitz side? Which side are we going to bring guys to? Huh? To the right side. And who's going in flex go? The buck in the corner. Okay? So in go, what has to happen up front? Okay, let's first talk about the defensive end. What's your thought? What's this guy's technique? Long stick, meaning what, Jason? How do we teach long stick?
It's a 2-gap movement.
It's a 2-gap movement. In essence, you're trying to get to what gap? To the A gap. In a perfect world, you're going to the A gap. Okay? What is the only thing that really takes you off of that? The tackle. What would the tackle have to do from you working to that A gap? What would he be doing?
Going down, walking down.
If he went down really hard, right, or climbed really fast, so he did that, really wasn't paying you much attention, what would you do then, Jason? And you'd still, at that point, try to get to what gap? You'd still try and get to the A gap. You'd just come off of his butt. Okay? But if he shows you any attention at all, which way are you going to go? You're going to beat him across his face and go that way. Okay? That's any attention whatsoever. So we got a long stick there. What about the nose? Knowing that we have, in essence, 4 to a side. That's what we call this blitz. It's a 4 to the side. What's the nose doing, Curry? A rack. So where do you have to get on your rack? Over here, right? Okay? So how do you do that? Well, what goes off in your head to enable you to know that you got to get across that center? Because is it easy always to get across that center? It isn't. Can you just take it? Can you line up in a 2-eye and expect to get across that center? Huh? So you're gonna do it from a shade, and knowing that if that guy goes here, it's pretty easy to get there, right? What about when he starts going here? So what are you going to do with your alignment, knowing I have to get across that center's block? Say again? Align a little bit deeper off the ball. And knowing, are you gonna key the ball, or are you gonna key the man that you're on? Huh? Wouldn't it be easier to key the ball to get the best possible jump you can get? And so I'm lined right there, and I'm giving myself room. And understand this: you'd rather be early than late, because no matter what happens, you want to. At the end of the day, you really want to get across that guy's face. So if I'm going to cheat, I'm going to cheat early, but I am not going to let that center cut me off. Because what happens is, if that center goes here and I'm cut off right here, that there's a possibility that our team can get cut in half, and we'll lose our numbers over there. As long as the nose wins, for the most part, understand, there's going to be times, depending on what that center does, that our nose might not get across, and we'll have somebody who can help with that. But we want to avoid that with at all possible, because then we gain our numbers over here, and the ball ends up being forced back to where our blitz is coming from. Okay? That's why it's very important you guys know that you're trying to get across. What about the 3 technique, Vincent? What's he doing? He has a hot. Okay? So tell me about what he does when he runs. So we got a rack right here, and we know that that's going here. What's a hot doing? There you go. So I definitely want to have a feel for what that guy's doing for sure, right? So once again, if there's a chance that guy's gonna block down on me, which will happen a lot in an over front. What do I want to do to give myself the best opportunity to get across that block? Align with a little bit more depth than I normally do. Okay, so if he comes down, man, now I'm swiping across his face. Once again, now I'm turning everything back to where our blitz is coming from. Okay? The worst thing I can do is get here and start to jet my B gap, right? Because now I'm dead. Now I'm pinned, and now we're in big trouble. So I want to be starting for width. Now if he leaves me and I can contain through that B gap, that's a whole different deal. That's going to happen every now and then. If that guy steps hard to your 6 and I go here, now they're in trouble. You're probably going to set the edge all by yourself. But you got to start for width initially, so we don't get cut in half. Same thing. So you guys are basically both doing what? Even though one's on the center, one's aligned here and one's aligned here, is that technique a whole heck of a rack and a hot? Is it much different for you two guys? It's really not much different. The same things ought to go off in your head. The same, you both in essence are dealing with many similar issues. So you got to think about it the same way. Okay? Okay. Now on the Bronco end. Talk to me, Jason. When we say Bronco, what does that mean?
On the pass, but on run, I suppose.
There you go. You're gonna start in the 6 and you're gonna end up where? A 9. So before the ball is snapped, you pretty much know all the time what my first couple steps are gonna be, right? Which to me, for a defensive lineman, that's almost like a down off. When you guys already kind of know where you're going, because you guys don't have that luxury very often, do you? So if I'm lined up here at a 6, I know right now my first couple steps, I'm going out to a 9, and under no circumstances is any run ever going to get outside of me, period. I am the force player, and nothing will ever get outside of my body. Okay, so I got to make sure I step to allow that to happen. Okay, so I also got to, so I know who my number 2 initially is who? The tight end. Okay, so as I step to a 9, and I go out here I go, I step to a 9, where is my vision? When I go there, where do I want to look through at that point, if I'm the defensive end, Jason? Through who to who? Like if I was a buck lining up here, who are you looking at? Who can be, who are the guys who can affect you? Tight end. So I'm going to step and I'm going to be looking right through here to here. Okay? So, because I know if I step out here, now that tight end's releasing, he's mine. Okay? He'll never get outside of me. We already said that. Okay? So if I step here and the tight end's going here, when we have a flex zone dog, here's the beautiful thing about it. For the most part, one of these two guys, let's say both backs went this way. And this is important that we all understand the concepts here. Let's say both backs went to the flex side. Is there anyone in America who's going to release both backs out here? It's not going to happen. Okay? So, when we're blitzing here, we got a corner coming here and the buck coming here. Yeah, let's say both backs did go here. More than likely, at least one of them is going to do what? Block. Okay? So if I am the will linebacker, David Santos, we tell you you're hooked to 3. But in a pro set, who really are you dropping off of? The tight end. So as long as there's 2 backs in the backfield, Jason, bottom line is you're really worried about first and foremost what these backs are doing, because you're going to have some presence there by that will linebacker. He's going to give you some presence. So you can step to a 9 and get with and not worry about, hey, I got to get my hands on the tight end right off the bat. I can step out here, get with, and if the tight end's releasing and everything's away from me, it's easy for me now to flip my hips and go this way. But I want to gain width and gain vision on the inside, knowing that I'm going to have a will linebacker putting eyes who's going to be inside of that tight end for me.
We'll have him the whole way up, though? Or he just helping me?
You'll never have him all the way up, because what do we have in this defense? We always have a middle third player. So at the very worst, you have to carry him up 9 to 10 yards. Okay? But we are always going to have some presence for you by a linebacker. Okay? Okay. So, you know that you're going to relate and stay on the outside part of that tight end until what happens? Till a number 3 comes my way. So, if I get a back step in my way, coming wide at me, and I'm stepping out here to a 9, knowing my will is inside of me, am I going to spend any attention at that point on that tight end? No. Now the will's got the tight end, and I'm going to take all my attention to that back. Even if he just steps out here wide and sets and blocks. Eventually, I want to make sure I don't get out leveraged. If he stays in, eventually I'll do that, but he ain't going to stay in very often. Not if he takes a wide path like that. Okay? We good there? Okay. Now, let's continue to go. Now I got the other Bronco player is who, Roach? No, Mike. Okay? So, once again, let's talk about where we're strong and where we're weak. Okay? So we're doing this, and we're doing that. Let's say it's pass. Where do you think the offense would teach you, where are we the weakest? Number one. Right there. Because we got a guy with depth who's holding his look, who's got to come down here And a lot of times these guys, if we disguise it well, they don't have enough to block over on this side. So the quarterback has to throw what we call hot, meaning he's got to throw hot where the blitz came from. So even if this guy was going to run a comeback or something, if he sees a blitz come and they haven't identified it, he's going to run a hitch or something, or an out, or a slant. Okay, so, and that doesn't matter whether it's two backs or one back. Okay, they can only protect so many guys. So we tell the Mike, you are Bronco off two. Okay, how do you do that? Well, here's how you do it, Roach. You are going to clear a run, okay? Because anytime that we are in a flex zone, dog, anytime we have a go blitz, one of our players is a key blitzer. And it's always going to be the inside part of the go. And in this case, who's the inside player? Who's the readout player? The buck. So what does it mean to be a readout player? Okay? What tells you to read out of the blitz? What are you looking at when there's two backs in the backfield? So what would tell you to read out? Full flow. So if they went like that and they split flow, Buck, there is no more readout. You go. It has to be full flow away. Then does that mean that I'm not blitzing? No, what it means is I hesitate, I go with the flow for a second, I clear the run, and then if I read pass now, I add into the blitz. But I'm going to clear run first. Okay? So to do that, what happens when I'm a blitzer, when I'm the buck blitzing in this blitz? And I'm a go blitzer, the inside part. What's going to happen? We already said that the nose is going to go here and the end is going to long stick. Does that happen right now? Yeah, kind of, but that's not easy. Sometimes it takes that end. It takes a second or two for him to go from here to here. So when that's happening, what's happening to this side? Yeah, it's getting reduced, right? So I know if I'm the buck, number one, if flow goes away from me, I need to read out. Number two, if it is pass, I got to make sure that end clears and this side's going to get reduced. So I want to do what? Stay what? Tight. So I'm going to align a little bit tighter for both those reasons. I'm going to line for my readout to remind me I could have read out, and I'm also going to line tight so I can hit it tight off that end's butt. Okay? So what does that mean? So now I go. So now I get action this way, and I go. When the mic is blitzing off two, or going off of number two, okay, what we're saying is this, Roach. Basically in a two-back set, I'm telling you that for the most part, unless they free release, unless somebody free releases away from outside, that you ain't getting a guy out this way. You definitely ain't getting two out. So when I'm the Mike, I want this Mike linebacker dropping to our weakness. That's what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking I am dropping to number one to help my free safety. And I'm going to check two on the way. It isn't I'm going to check two and if he doesn't go out, I'm going to go to one. It means that when I'm the Mike linebacker, when I see pass, look at me, Roach, I am going to turn and I'm going to start sprinting the one, and on the way I'm going to check and see what two's doing. Okay? I'm beelining for that son of a bitch. Okay?
You want us to get on there?
Huh?
How deep you want us
I want you running at that X's hip. I want you running right at him. Okay? And as I'm going at him, I see where that X is, and I'm running at him, and on the way I'm taking a peek to see what that back is doing. And if that back doesn't get out right now, if he isn't threatening me, I'm going to that guy. So what does that mean to the will linebacker? It means that a will linebacker, if the tight end's running a shallow, I'm going to carry it over a little bit to my Mike right away. Okay? I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive. I'm going to stay with them because my Mike's main attention is going to be that X. okay? So if I have a 1-back set, let's say it's ace, okay? Is it any different, Roach? Is that any different than a 2-back set?
A little bit.
What's the difference between that set for you and that set?
More of a threat pass-wise.
That guy's more of a threat pass-wise. So now I'm adjusting my thought process now. Now I'm thinking that's still my number threat. That's my threat. Now I'm going to him, which I need to go to him anyway, right? That's my number 2. So I'm anticipating when I see a 2 that's right there that can go hard flat on me right now, I'm sprinting. It's really the same thing, except now I'm checking him to if he doesn't get out to the X. Now he's a viable threat to me now. That's my number 1 threat. He ain't in the backfield anymore.